Okay, great. I'm so glad that we're able to meet again. I enjoyed meeting you last year. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about your brother and how you came to find brain core therapy?
Good afternoon, Dr. Nancy. I am my brother's caregiver. He was in a bad accident a little over a decade ago, and at the Louisiana Brain Injury Association's 9th annual conference in 2015, I met Dr. Nancy and she spoke to the group for about an hour about her brain core therapy that she does there in Mandeville. My brother and I, we live in Houma, and we decided that it was a good idea for us to make a trip to the North Shore and have Dr. Nancy take a look at our situation, what we were up against with my brother's brain injury, being 10 years into his accident. And we're so glad we did, because Mark ended up being a great candidate for brain core therapy, and we committed to, after that initial evaluation, we committed to 30 sessions. So we made the trip twice a week for 15 weeks, and we were very excited about the opportunity and being accepted as good candidates. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of experiences that I'd love to share.
So what was he like before you brought him? Like, what was he really struggling with?
Right. Mark's accident, it's been a slow progression over, like I said, it's been 11 years now, but at the time it was right around just over 10 years since Mark's accident. He was a pedestrian in an automobile accident. He was struck by a vehicle, and he was in a coma for over 3 months, out of state. And once he did wake up, we transported him back to Louisiana and began therapies that the hospital had taught us. We did outpatient therapy with physical therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy. When Mark first came out of his coma, he rested a lot. He did not he wasn't too active. You know, it takes a while for his brain to wake up. And then slowly but surely, the PEG tube was removed. The activities got more and more, his stamina, endurance, all that began to improve. And luckily, we got in touch with, I was able to intersect with you at the Brain Injury Association, and I think it was great timing for. But Mark's symptoms prior to brain core therapy were in a normal one-on-one conversation with Mark. He was there, he was totally with you, he was following every word of the conversation. But if you asked him a question, he would take sometimes up to a minute or more to generate a response. So you had to be very patient and not clutter the airspace with a bunch of rattling on repetitious or random questions. But if you sat there and asked one specific question, he would give you one specific answer, and that would be the end of the conversation until you initiated another question. Well, we did also his physical therapy. At that time, Mark had just started to walk on his own, but now, after the brain core therapy, Mark's conversation is real time. I ask him a question, not only does he respond immediately, but he'll have a follow-on question, keeping the conversation going, where before that wasn't the case. He's much more situationally aware of his surroundings, of his situation, of his challenges, and also his balance. His new record, his personal best at this moment is 532 feet, mm-hmm. and that was just over a year ago. It started with 4 steps. That's right before brain core therapy.
Good. So what was your experience like at the clinic?
Our very first visit, we found it was easy to find the location. In fact, Dr. Nancy found us in the parking lot before we and welcomed us in. And the incredible staff over there, it was always a pleasure and a treat to go to the North Shore and be around all those great, I mean, talk about caring people. Mark loved it, and they loved Mark, and it was just a perfect environment for us to make that trip. Even though it was an hour and 45 minutes one way for us, it was worth it, and we did it 30 times, and I'm glad we did, and maybe look forward to doing more in the near future.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that information. I know that's going to help a lot of people that are trying to make that decision as to whether brain core therapy will be a good fit for them. And it's always a pleasure to be with you, and it was just a joy to treat your brother. So thank you so much.